There's only one path to peace. Your extinction.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of Popcorn and Prosecco, a show that's all about talking about movies. I'm Perri Nemiroff, and here are my co-hosts Kristy Puchko and Angie.
Hey everybody!
Alright, so this week we've got our hot topic, which is the Tribeca Film Festival. Then we're going to jump into our big review of Avengers Age of Ultron, and then we're going to wrap up with a game. So first up, hot topic, Tribeca. And I'm going to start with that one, and I'm going to start with what was not only my favorite film of the festival, but the audience favorite, the audience award-winning film, King Jack, which I thought was incredible. I adored this movie. It's a coming-of-age story about a young kid named Jack who grows up in a super rough part of town, and he's got this really, a really freaking nasty bully after him, and nobody does anything. He doesn't have the greatest relationship with his mother and his brother, and then this bully is just, beating the shit out of him, and no one stops him, but, he still kind of, fights back. It's a little dark, but it's got, almost like a juvenile innocence to it, that kind of vibe that makes you root for him at the same time, and Jack's aunt dies, so he's all busy trying to be cool, and then he's got to kind of babysit his little cousin, who's a couple years younger than him, and he's all pissed that this kid is coming over, and he's got to take care of him, but then they kind of get along, but then the bully, Shane, steps in, and he kind of, screws it all up and puts him to the test, and he's got to, make Jack step up and be a man, and kind of give himself over in order to save the cousin in a way, and make himself a better person in the end. It's really hard to watch, but charming at the same time. It's a grittier coming-of-age story than I've ever seen, and it's a little tough to stomach, but at the same time, it's really, really moving. And the kid who plays Jack, his name is Charlie Plummer, and he's just, fantastic. I've never seen a kid that age, doesn't say anything for certain scenes and is just so expressive. There's this one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie is a truth or dare scene where he could either, humiliate himself or be the big man and kiss the girl that he likes. And it's not as cut and dry as either winning or losing, because you could just see the wheels in his head turning so much, and it's fun. It's fun, it's interesting, and it's good work all around too. All those kids in the movie are great. It's a first-time director, and I highly recommend it. Go see King Jack. I don't even know if it got picked up, but it should have. All right, who's going next?
We're going to bring this back down a little, because the movie I want to talk about is one I actually didn't like. It's written and directed by William Monahan, who won an Oscar for writing The Departed, and who more recently wrote the Gambler remake starring Mark Wahlberg.
Which you guys all remember we super loved.
Yeah. Anyway, so this movie stars Garrett Hedlund as a movie star who is just so, he poor little rich boy. He has everything, but his life is just so empty. So he has to, go into the desert and have, a spiritual journey where he encounters Oscar Isaac, who, okay, I just said I didn't like this movie, but I love Oscar Isaac in it. He plays this guy who, may or may not be the devil, the actual devil, and he's incredibly charismatic. His performance kind of reminded me a little of, when we first saw Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean, and he just kind of, bursts on the scene, and he's just so full of personality, and he's so eccentric and so weird, but you immediately get what this person is. I
was thinking De Niro, Cape Fear, but I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, he's got, a Johnny Depp and Pirates look to him when we first meet him, too.
And 2 gold teeth.
Yeah. That's true. Anyway, so then while the two of them are in the desert, something bad happens. Garrett Hedlund runs back to LA, but Oscar Isaac kind of follows him and then terrorizes him and just kind of, follows him around and is mean to him. Is that a good summary?
No, and that's the thing. It sounds like it could be so interesting, but all three of us saw it and you're just is plot gonna happen? Anytime?
It's a movie that is trying so hard to be profound and is using really big words. Good job.
Lots of Shakespeare references, just cause.
Yeah, I think that's how I described it in my review. It's bursting at the seams, trying to say something, and then just never does.
Yeah, but it's really slow. Every time Oscar Isaac in this movie, he's amazing. His best scene partner in this movie is a dog, which I will not tell you what happens to him. But no, he's great in it, but everything else about this movie is just so, navel-gazy, so, I think masturbatory, really, honestly, is the best way I can come up with it. I don't know. Basically, everything I didn't like about The Gambler, this movie was also that. Yeah. But the main reason I wanted to talk about it is just because Oscar Isaac still is great in it, and as usual, it makes me excited to see what he's going to do next.
Yeah, and I actually recommend to everybody. Angie wrote a really hilarious review on Slash Film of this movie, and it's way more entertaining than the actual movie, which Angie pointed out is not a high bar, but I mean it as high praise. And with that, I'm going to go into my pick, which kind of surprised me because I thought the trailer for this movie looked terrible. Man Up. It stars Lake Bell and Simon Pegg, and it's a romantic comedy, and the trailer shows a girl stealing a blind date, and I was like, ugh, it looks so hackneyed, that looks so terrible. But you know what? This movie was charming. It was fucking adorable. Lake Bell plays a jaded London single who accidentally steals someone's blind date and likes him so much that she's like reticent to tell him what's really going on, but then she does, and then the script finds interesting ways to keep them together, and I feel like this is important. The whole thing takes place over the course of like a day, so it doesn't feel preposterous that someone could get away with pretending they're somebody else for a couple of hours on a blind date. And like these two have really great chemistry. It was very funny. It was pretty sexy. And like I enjoy Simon Pegg as a comedian, but I've never thought he was hot before. But in this movie, he's like genuinely dapper, and like, you know, he has his weird vulnerable moments, but in the end he gets a big, I mean, like, shocker, it's a rom-com, he gets a happy ending, but like he gets like this big rousing Richard Curtis style like romantic gesture, and like I thought it was fantastic and really fun, and it got picked up, so it's coming to theaters eventually, and maybe we'll have an official review on the show. But if you see a chance to see Man Up, I say go see it. It's really fun.
Yeah, if you want to have an excuse to have a crush on Simon Pegg, this is a really good one. But anyway, on that note, moving on to something that has nothing to do with that. Avengers, Age of Ultron, our big review of the week. All right, here's the synopsis.
Our big review of the summer.
Yeah, no, this was our number one most anticipated
Never tune in again. This is it. This is our peak.
All right, so, ready? When Tony Stark tries to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program, things go awry, and it is up to the Avengers to stop the villainous Ultron from enacting his terrible plans. Not that bad of a summary. Yeah, Perri's making a face as per usual, but the thing about
Perri's
this
gonna
movie,
have to write her own damn summaries, is what's gonna happen.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go on IMDb and I'm gonna change all the summaries. Because, like,
But the
users
thing about-
can, no?
But the thing
Yeah.
about this movie is it's such... I mean, it's not the best summary, but I can't think of a better way to explain it, because this movie is a fucking mess. Look, on the one hand, it's really fun. It delivers so much on, like, all the personality that the Marvel movies are known for. Like, a lot of the characters get just great moments. Like, I enjoyed the hell out of it. But on the other hand, this movie is a mess. It suffers so much from being like a part of the larger Marvel universe, because the weakest parts of it are the parts where it's obvious that this was put in here for business reasons and not for like movie reasons that make sense for this movie. Like, for example,
without getting into spoilers, there's so much stuff that's shoving in future franchises we already know about. There's so much stuff shoving in characters who are incidental to the plot and have no purpose, but people like seeing these characters because they were in other movies, and it's like kind of exciting, but also kind of like, guys, this is a 2.5-hour movie that doesn't have much of an arc.
I don't
Well,
think
not
that's
only
the
that,
only
but-
problem, though. You can't make that, like, the one excuse. I mean, just look at the whole, like, core idea of this movie and what Ultron is trying to do. I mean, that whole thing in itself is stupid.
Because
But they would've had
basically,
more
what the
ridiculous.
plot doesn't get across, but everybody who's familiar with this plot, because it's a big plot for these comics, is that Tony Stark means well. He wants to create an artificial intelligence system that will be a peacekeeper, but it becomes Ultron, and Ultron's concept is basically like, man needs to shape up or get the fuck off the planet. So it gets apocalyptic.
That's not what I have a problem with. I love the idea of Tony Stark being responsible for something like that. I mean, just what Ultron goes and tries to do, which winds up being, like, half of the movie.
Yeah, that
That's-
like the
that's,
end
like, the
action sequence.
ridiculous
It's like,
garbagey
but it is
part.
like the first Avengers movie where the last hour is like one action sequence.
Yeah,
And-
but like, what was going wrong in the world still felt right within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, this whole little, like, operation he's got going on is just, like, it feels so ridiculous. Like, I didn't even get where, like, parts of his contraption came from, and, like, exactly what he, like, why would
Yeah,
he try
this
to
is-
achieve his goal by doing that anyway?
Wait,
This
I
is
want to say
definitely-
something about that. I mean, I feel like one of the things, like, that's exactly it, though, with this movie. Like, the time that we spend following Thor on a journey that has nothing to do with anything. The time that we spend, like, watching Captain America rehash everything he's done in every other Avengers movie so far. That could have been better spent fleshing out, like, what the fuck Ultron is doing. It could have been better spent fleshing out the new characters that we're supposed to care about, namely Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. Like, it's such a mess. It feels like it's it's not as bad as Iron Man 2, which was kind of boring, and this is not boring. But it's kind of like that in that it feels so much like it's a stop on its way to something else and not like a complete movie in itself. It's also the first, I think, Marvel movie I've seen where I'm like, oh, unless you've seen all the other ones and are already committed to this franchise, you're probably not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I don't think, I honestly don't think you'd be able to follow what's happening unless you've seen everything else. And I've
seen it and I followed obsessively, and even I was like, what?
No, yeah. And I mean, that's kind of the thing. I don't really care that the plot didn't make sense because there were enough character moments in it that I had a really good time with this movie.
Exactly, yeah.
But I use the phrase movie loosely. Like, Marvel, with their cinematic universe, is really changing the definition of what a movie is. And if you're one of those people that got really annoyed at, like, the Hobbit movies or something where you were like, this isn't even a movie, this is an extended action sequence, then I don't know that you're going to be totally satisfied with Avengers Age of Ultron. Having said that, there are really exciting, like, huge, spectacular scenes. But again, for me, the stuff that was most exciting were just these little character moments that Joss Whedon is so good at. Like, one of my favorite scenes is just them hanging out at a party where they think, like, we won, here's a little victory party. And they're teasing Thor.
Yeah.
They're giving Thor all kinds of shit because he's like, only those who are worthy can lift my hammer, which, to reference another Joss Whedon movie, the hammer is his penis. It's not really, but I mean, metaphorically. Anyway, so, like, all the other Avengers, like, want to try to lift the hammer, and that bit worked really well for me, especially when they cut to Black Widow, and they're like, do you want to give this a try? And she's like, I don't need to do this. And I was like, yeah, because this is, we know what this is. So anyway, but, like, those moments worked beautifully for me. There's an arc that we talked about with the trailer where you have Hulk and Black Widow, like, maybe kissing, what? That I loved. I ate all that up. And, like, those two had amazing chemistry. I was super into it. But, like, yeah, whenever they go to, I don't know, when they get to the bigger plot stuff, I was just kind of like, please, more character stuff. I don't really care about this.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like in any Marvel movie, the reason that I love this franchise so much is because it's so good at, like, characterization and so good at those, like, little moments. Like, this, so much of the time we watch these big action movies where literally everything that happens, every piece of dialogue is in service of moving the plot forward. And what Marvel has always done really well is that most, like, you know, it moves the plot forward, obviously, but there's a lot of dialogue that's just there to kind of establish who these people are and to make you connect with them. But this one was just a mess.
Now that I'm thinking about it, they kind of dropped, you know, Tony Stark being responsible for what happened.
They
halfway
do.
through the movie.
I feel
and
like
I
this arc kind of makes sense.
I didn't even think about that during the movie because it was like the biggest deal ever for like the first half where he was sulking about it the entire time, but then all of a sudden, I mean, I guess
I'm sure they'll revisit
right
it.
idea in the middle. I don't even know how to talk about this freaking movie because I'm afraid to spoil everything.
Yeah, okay, so I feel like let's round up whether or not we think people should see it and then go into spoilers because there's a lot to talk about with spoilers.
Yes, okay.
All right.
I think that if you are committed to this franchise and you really like it and you're excited about this movie, you should see it. I think if you're someone that could kind of take or leave these Marvel movies, then don't bother.
I think that's a pretty good way to sum it up.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it, though.
It's going to be one of the biggest movies this summer. I recommend seeing it. But yeah, if you haven't done your homework and seen all the other Marvel movies and possibly recently, you might want to have that nerdy friend next to you being like, a reminder, that's this character from this thing.
No, you should just not watch it. That sounds horrible. But like for someone like, for example, like my husband, the last Marvel movie he saw was the first Avengers. I'm going to tell him not to bother with this one because it's not going to fucking make sense to him. But yeah, we should move into spoilers.
So spoilers.
All
right,
wait,
going back to what I was saying before about Tony Stark. So I guess the turning point where he's kind of over feeling guilty about the whole thing is when he creates Vision, kind of.
Yeah, but the thing is that,
And
like,
so
he was like, I did it wrong
that?
last time and I'm gonna do it again, which is a weird character moment.
It was bizarre to me
it's
that
like
they
he
were
learns nothing, too. It's like that whole beginning part is about teaching him a lesson, like, right from wrong and, like, to deviate from these crazy ways that caused the whole freaking world to possibly, like, come to an end. But he still does. And I also didn't get why he really believed that it was going to work this time, you know?
No,
like,
that doesn't
felt
make
like such
sense.
A crapshoot
and then it's like,
to me.
they wedge in Nick Fury, and Nick Fury feels like he has no reason to be in this movie, which is
Samuel
very
L. Jackson
confusing.
feels like he's phoning it in the entire time.
No, it's very confusing. And, like, don't get me wrong, I love Samuel L. Jackson, but he feels like there's no reason for him to be in this movie. A lot of the characters feel like they were just shoved in forcibly. But like
Yeah,
my
and then
biggest
they
issue,
added a bunch of new characters that we don't even pay attention to. Sorry,
which
go
I
on.
want to get to because, okay, so since we're in spoilers, I'm going to go to a big moment. The whole fucking movie is building towards the fact that we finally get to know Hawkeye. We learn a whole bunch about Hawkeye. So you think that they're setting him up for like the whole like, well, Hawkeye's going to die. And then there's the perfect opportunity to kill off Hawkeye in a noble, brave, saving somebody else way, and then Quicksilver dies instead. Which, here's the thing, who the fuck cares? Because Quicksilver, 1, is not interesting in this movie, 2, was more interesting in X-Men Days of Future Past, and 3, again, who the fuck cares?
All right, I agree. Who the fuck cares that Quicksilver died? But going back to what you said about Hawkeye, so like, yeah, in like movie universe, that's like how you set up a character dying. You give him a lot of backstory out of nowhere, and it's obvious they're coming to an end. The second those kids walked in, though, I knew they weren't gonna. There was no
It's too
way
sad
a
for
Marvel family-friendly superhero
But that's the
movie
thing.
was going to kill him off.
But
And
Marvel's getting
and the second they
ridiculous
got
with
out
this
there
stuff.
into the battle, I knew it was going to be Quicksilver right then. Also because, you know, the fucking great internet, I heard that it was rumors about Quicksilver and or like the fact that Elizabeth Olsen had to come right out and say that she's going to be in the third in Captain America: Civil War. I'm like, oh shit, she's going to be in it. No one's talking about Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's dead.
Well, I want to talk about the Hawkeye thing because that's another part of the movie that I love that scene. I thought it was really funny. Like, it was like really great to find out what the fuck he's doing in his off time. And it turns out what he's doing is having an awesome home life.
Is Linda
But it's
Cardinelli.
another thing that like so much of Hawkeye's storyline in this movie and what he does and what happens to him is driven by the fact that Jeremy Renner was not happy with or Jeremy Renner and Hawkeye fans were not happy with.
There's
like,
actually
what
meta
they
commentary in the movie about how annoyed Jeremy Renner was that he got like brainwashed for most of the first movie.
I mean,
That was actually my favorite scene of the entire movie too. But like for other reasons, not just that. Angie, did you want to finish that thought? And then I'll explain
no,
that.
now I don't remember what it was. Thanks a lot.
I'm
Perri.
sorry.
It's okay.
Well,
I was just, I think
it
I was
was-
just
it
saying
was a
that
scene-
it felt like another choice yet another choice in the movie that was driven by kind of like business concerns and like behind the scenes
Exactly.
shit, and
It
not
feels
because it serviced
cheap.
the movie. I mean, another thing is like Captain America. He's like probably my favorite Avenger, but he has like nothing to do in this movie. But they give
Yes,
him a
he
lot
does.
of
He's
screen.
the leader. It's about him rising up and taking charge.
Not
But
really.
there's
He
no
doesn't have an
arc. He's the
What's his
same-
arc?
All right,
Yeah.
he doesn't have an arc, but like.
But he gets a
does
lot of
Captain
screen
America
time
ever
with
have an
no
arc?
arc, and it's because Chris Evans is one of the biggest stars that they have. They're not gonna they're not gonna sideline their biggest star, but you know, at the same time, they don't really have anything to do with him. So he's another person that just kind of feels shoved in there.
Yeah.
Basically,
I agree with that
found
completely.
this
And like
movie
there are
so
things that are
fun but so frustrating.
You know who felt really shoved in there? Stone Skarsgård.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like, why was he in this movie? But like, out of all people, he literally could have been erased from this movie. And
But
he-
that's
he
so
has
true
a-
of so
he
many
has a
characters.
completely
That's true of
superfluous-
Quicksilver too. Like Quicksilver's like entire role in this movie is going like, "Sister, you okay? You're okay. You're okay. All right." Da, 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 da. And then he's
And
gone. And it's
I
like,
need to point out that Kristy's Russian accent is better than both of their accents because that was the most distracting thing in the. And like I'm a
such a
big fan of
backhanded
Scarlet
compliment.
Witch. I'm so glad that they're putting her in this movie, and I like what they did with the character. But like their Russian accents were so freaking distracting. It was driving me nuts because it just felt so unnecessary.
And it's just also they just it doesn't feel it doesn't because they have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, it doesn't give her time to develop as a character, and we're apparently supposed to be invested with her. There are too many characters to care about in this movie, and when they set us up with a character whose death would have meant a lot to us and then took it away, it just feels like, what are we doing? Like, I love Marvel movies. Fair. But like they need to be a little more like DC in that you have to actually kill off a character that matters. This is getting silly. Fucking Harry Potter killed off characters that mattered. Like, get into it.
It's
true.
weird because even
And also, this is Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is known. Like, he was George R.R. Martin before George R.R. Martin was everywhere. Like, he kills the characters you love. And then this movie's like, JK, guys. JK. Sorry. Go on. Had feelings. I'm the Hulk.
Let's go back to that scene that I was talking about with Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch, because I thought that was an awesome payoff for him, because that's where he, like, gets all meta, and he starts to be like, why am I here? But, like, I'm here because I'm an Avenger. And then he's like, you could be an Avenger, too. And she gets all
You say it that way, it sounds silly.
she gets all teary-eyed. But, like, that's, like, the perfect example of setting something up and then having an awesome payoff. Because when she steps out, it's like, fuck yeah, I want you to be an Avenger. I want you to be on the new team.
Yeah.
And I liked her. But then Quicksilver dies, and I'm like, wait, am I supposed to care about him, too? No, thank you. But you know what's funny, actually, is even though Quicksilver got, like, itty-bitty time in this movie, Vision also got itty-bitty time in this movie, but I loved him. Like, the second, like, Paul Bettany looked at me as Vision, I was like, I just love you. Like, you're so good.
I totally agree, and I actually want to throw in, because we haven't said, but James Spader as Ultron is brilliant casting. There is something about his smug, beleaguered tone that fits the character so nicely, and when he's just annoyed at humanity, you're like, I get it.
He's funny, too. He's so funny. I was rewatching, they released a clip the other day, and I was all bummed that they spoiled one of the jokes, but it's out there. I can't remember what the line was. It's when he's in the room with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and he says something so... Oh, it's like when he can't figure out what, like, humans have babies. I thought it was the funniest thing.
Yeah, no, as far as... Because Marvel does not have a great track record with villains that have any personality, so... Ultron already has a lot of them beat, in my opinion. Like, who remembers who the villain was in Thor: The Dark World? Nobody remembers. Yeah. Not even Thor.
Like, Ultron's not as good as Loki, but I would say he's probably number 2. He's a really charismatic villain, even though he is a robot of death.
The troll things were were the bad guys.
The Dark Elves.
The Dark Elves. Trolls, elves, whatever.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts? Because I want to say one other thing about the movie.
Can we bring up the ending? Like, what you guys thought of, like, the very end? Like, where it leaves off, and... Like,
what do you mean?
Like, new Avengers. Like, it's a new team.
There's new... Yeah. But I mean, like, that... I don't know. That felt so just kind of like, next time on the Avengers. Like, fine, whatever.
It did feel a little like that, but, like, when you see them all, like, stepping out and coming together, that's just, like... That's, like, what Marvel movies do that I've come to love so much. It's, like, no matter what happens in the movie, they do that little thing at the end, and it's like, yeah, more. So, I mean, maybe it's people like me that are giving them an excuse to do things like this, but, like, I love that group. I'm psyched for the next one.
I'm excited for the next one. I just wish this were less sloppy. Like, I enjoyed it, but then it's like, I was thinking about it, I'm probably going to go see it again this weekend because I wasn't able to take my husband, and, like, I'll go. I'm not especially looking forward to sitting through all of that again, but parts of it I'm excited to see again.
So I wanted to talk about my favorite scene, which is very superficial, and I think Kristy already knows what it is because I told her. I wanted to fucking stand up and applaud at this scene, and it's when Mark Ruffalo comes out of the shower wearing, like, a towel. Sorry, that had nothing to do with anything.
No, shout out to Joss Whedon, because we get shirtless Ruffalo and we get shirtless Thor in this. We also get a great line with the doctor, whose name I forget. This lady doctor.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, she's not. Anyway, so she. I was gonna make a dumb joke. It's fine. But she is invited to a party with all the superheroes, and she's like, "I'm very busy. Is Thor gonna be there?" And I was like, "I get you.
Yeah, and then she like does nothing important for the rest of the movie.
Not really, no. But I'm hoping that has to become a thing. She has to be a thing.
Maybe
Dr. Cho, I think.
I don't know. She's gonna be a thing. Infinity Stones. Every time I see the Infinity Stones, I think about is, like, that stupid plasticky toy glove. Like, something about the Infinity Stones.
We're going to move on, though, to our Avengers game for the week.
This is starting to get as long and as shaggy as the Avengers Age of Ultron. Yeah. So transition.
We're just going to jump onto our game section, guys. So last week we asked you, we talked about the movies we're most excited about this summer, and we asked you guys what movie you were most excited about, and our winner is Max Avery, who is at Max Avery, and he wrote, "This summer, my most anticipated movie is Mad Max Fury Road, because Tom Hardy is my co-pilot." Max, we're jealous, because I want Tom Hardy to be my co-pilot. What? Anyhow, our game for this week that you can compete with is, as you've heard, we talked a lot about the different little moments in Marvel. We want you to tell us what Marvel spinoff you want to see, and don't just tell us like a Hawkeye movie or a Hulk movie. Like, give us specifics. For instance, I really want to see a romantic comedy about Hulk and Black Widow, and Angie has an idea that I would totally watch.
Yes, I want a Joe Swanberg directed movie about Captain America trying to fit in with the hipsters who have taken over his Brooklyn stomping grounds.
So yeah, and Perri, do you have one you want to throw in?
I just want to see one where you could just see what they do in their downtime. You know, like when they're not being all, in their really
Black Widow on Laundry Day.
They're just like chilling. And it's like you said with the party scene, I just want to see them all chilling.
Like Friends,
so pitch to
but
us.
in Stark Tower.
Exactly, yeah. Can we, like, make that happen?
Only Lovers Left Alive, but with Marvel characters.
Yes.
Pitch us your Marvel spin-off movie, and if we like yours best, you'll be talked about on next week's show. So tweet at us at Popcorn Prosecco.
Alrighty, so that is a wrap on our Avengers Age of Ultron episode. I can't believe it, it's crazy, it's summer. So, you can catch us at Popcorn Prosecco on Twitter. Please like us on Facebook. We also have a website, popcornprosecco.com. You can watch us on YouTube and on iTunes, where it would be great if you could comment and rate us, which is always super helpful. And then all three of us are all over the internet as well. Kristy, you want to go first?
Sure. I write all over the web, so you can find my career highlights at decadentcriminals.com, and I'm at Twitter at Kristy Puchko.
Angie?
I'm at Twitter at AJHAN, and I write for slashfilm.com.
And I'm at Nemiroff on Twitter, and you can catch my writing on collider.com. So that's it for this week, and we'll see you next time.
Popcorn and Prosecco.
You're a robot.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You sounded fine the whole time we were recording.
Ultron.
Do it again.
No, I don't know how.
That was creepy because it was like, I'm Ultron.